Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Abdul Hadi and I am the student of Rayan College. Today we're gonna talk with Chat GPT and ask some questions on the topic learning from failure, turning stake back into opportunities. So let's start. First of all, I will share the screen. Okay. So let's start the interview. Hi Chat
Hey
GPT.
there.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you? How's your day going so far?
I am also good. Thanks for asking. Actually, I want to take your interview and ask some questions. So, are you ready?
Absolutely. I'm ready. Feel free to ask me whatever questions you have, and I'll do my best to help out. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, my questions is on the topic of learning from failure, turning stake back into opportunities. So, on this topic, my first question is, what does learning from failure mean in a practical sense?
That's a great question. In a practical sense, learning from failure means reflecting on what went wrong, understanding the underlying causes, and using that insight to improve future attempts. It's about extracting valuable lessons, adapting strategies, and ultimately building resilience and growth from those experiences.
Okay, very good answer. So my next question is, why is failure often such an important part of long-term success?
Yeah, absolutely. Failure often plays a crucial role because it helps us identify what doesn't work. And that knowledge is just as valuable as knowing what does. It builds resilience, encourages innovation, and often leads to better problem solving skills. Over time, these lessons from failure shape us into more adaptable and successful individuals.
Very good answer. So my next question is, can you explain the difference between productive failure and unproductive one?
Absolutely. Productive failure typically involves a mindset where you actively reflect, analyze, and learn from what went wrong, leading to continuous improvement. On the other hand, unproductive failure tends to happen when there's little reflection or learning and the same mistakes keep repeating. So, productive failure leads to growth, while unproductive failure often results in stagnation.
Mm-hmm. Very good answer. So my fourth question is, what emotional reaction to failure or are normal, and how can someone work through them?
Yeah, definitely. It's totally normal to feel disappointment, frustration, even self doubt after failure. Those emotions are part of the process. To work through them, it's helpful to practice self compassion, seek support from others, and reframe the failure as a learning opportunity. Over time, building resilience and maintaining a growth mindset can really help in overcoming those emotional hurdles.
Okay, okay. So my next question is, what are the first steps someone should take immediately after experiencing a major setback?
Great question.
Yes.
So the first steps usually involve taking a moment to process the emotions, giving yourself some grace and patience. Then it helps to objectively analyze what happened, identify the lessons learned, and make a plan for moving forward. And of course, reaching out for support, whether it's from mentors, friends, or colleagues, can also be super beneficial.
Okay, very good answer. So my next question is, how can individuals build resilience so they
Absolutely. Building resilience often involves developing a positive mindset, learning coping strategies, maintaining strong support networks, and embracing challenges as growth opportunities. Over time, these practices help individuals bounce back stronger and more adaptable.
Okay, good answer. So my next question is, can you give example of how reframing failure can change someone growth trajectory?
Absolutely. For example, imagine an entrepreneur who launches a startup that doesn't succeed. Instead of seeing it as a failure, if they reframe it as a valuable learning experience, they can identify what went wrong, pivot their approach, and apply those lessons to future ventures. This mindset can ultimately lead to greater innovation and long term success.
Very good answer. Very good answer. So my next question is, what role does reflection play in turning setbacks into opportunities?
Reflection is absolutely key. It allows us to pause and really analyze what happened, understand the root causes, and identify actionable insights. This process helps transform a setback into a stepping stone for growth. And by regularly reflecting, we become more adept at navigating future challenges and seizing new opportunities.
Very good answer. So my next question is, how can someone distinguish between precisely after a failure and knowing when to change direction?
That's a really important, but you adapt your approach based on what you've learned. On the other hand, knowing when to change direction involves recognizing when continued effort isn't yielding results and when the cost out benefits. It's all about honest self assessment, being open to feedback, and trusting your intuition about what will ultimately lead to better
Okay. So
outcomes.
my next question is, what strategies people turn lessons learned from failure into actionable improvements?
Great question. Some effective strategies include conducting thorough debriefs or postmortems to really understand what went wrong, documenting those lessons in a clear and organized way, and then creating a concrete action plan that incorporates those insights. Also, setting measurable goals, iterating on your processes, and consistently seeking feedback can help turn those lessons into real actionable improvements.
Okay. So my next question is, why do some people seem to grow stronger after a setback while others feel defeated?
That's a really interesting question. Often it comes down to factors like mindset, support systems, and coping skills. People with a growth mindset tend to view setbacks as temporary and as opportunities to learn, whereas others might struggle with self doubt or lack of support, which can lead to feeling defeated. Resilience can also be cultivated through experience, strong relationships, and healthy coping mechanisms.
Okay, okay, very good answer. So my next question is, what common misconceptions do people have about failure?
Yeah, definitely. One common misconception is that failure is a reflection of personal inadequacy, when in reality, it's often just a natural part of growth and learning. Another misconception is that failure is something to be avoided at all costs, whereas it can actually be a stepping stone to success. Also, some people think that failure is permanent, but in truth, it's often just a temporary setback that can lead to long term progress.
Okay, okay. So my next question is, how does a mindset fixed versus growth affect how someone respond to setbacks?
Absolutely. With a fixed mindset, people tend to see their abilities as static. So setbacks can feel like a reflection of their limitations, and that can lead to giving up more easily. On the other hand, a growth mindset means seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and improve. So setbacks are viewed as temporary and surmountable. This mindset really encourages resilience, persistence, and continuous growth.
Very good answers. So my next question is, how can organizations create a culture where failure is seen as a part of innovation rather than something to be feared?
That's a fantastic question. Organizations can encourage that kind of culture by openly celebrating learning from failure, promoting transparency, and creating a safe environment where employees feel comfortable taking risks. They can also provide support and resources for reflection and growth and recognize that some of the greatest innovations come from experimentation. Ultimately, fostering a mindset that values growth over perfection really helps build that culture.
Very good answers. So my last question is, Can failures ever be avoided, or they are inherently necessary for progress?
That's such a thoughtful question. In many ways, failure is indeed inherent to progress because it pushes us to learn, adapt, and innovate. While we can definitely reduce the frequency or severity of failures by planning carefully and learning from past experiences, it's almost impossible to avoid them entirely. In the grand scheme, failure often acts as a catalyst for growth and meaningful advancement.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. You have given me a very good answers. Uh, okay, we will talk with another day with ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT.
You're very welcome. I'm really glad I could help. Definitely feel free to reach out anytime, and I'll be here. Take care, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
Okay, Allah Hafiz. So, guys, there is a talk with ChatGPT, and we will back with another session. Okay, bye.